Information marketing, can you handle the truth? And you know what? Even if you can't, I'm doing this video anyway. All right. Why this video? There are some realities in the information marketing space that get some really crazy buzz, are tremendously misunderstood, and need to be dealt with, need to be discussed. So that's what we're going to do it. The bottom line of it is there's a problem that's not faced in the information marketing space that needs to be faced. Actually, a lot of people are facing it. They haven't just worded it accordingly, and that's what we're going to chat about in this video, is basically the solution to this issue. The realities are simple. Information products have no limits. If I sell you a download, if I sell you an electronic class, a teleseminar, even a disc on demand or a book on demand, there are no limits. And for me to say that there are limits, to pretend that there are limits, is, well, people are smart enough to figure this out, that there aren't. If I tell you I can only create so many at this time or do this kind of thing or whatnot, people know. And what happens is in the midst of the sales process, you tell them how great your product is. You tell them how it's going to change things and the results that you're going to get from utilizing. But then what happens is you say, I only have 100. I only have 200. People are figuring this out. And they don't like to be controlled. If I have someone cornering me on something, manipulation maybe isn't the right word, but if they're really using heavy-handed tactics to get the buy, I will walk away, and I understand that. The problem, though, the reality to this issue is simply that human nature requires that we do this anyway. Human nature requires that we put a limit on information products, and as a result, we got issues. We got stuff that we have to deal with. Tremendous buzz happens around information products that have limits associated with them. People get called fake, and let's face it, it's understandable. There's no limit to this. They're just trying to create scarcity. People are worried about being controlled. The one thing that really gets me, I saw this once from somebody amongst Twitter or something. They said, well, for abundance thinkers, you sure are scarcity minded. And the fact of the matter is, an abundance thinker who says I'm only printing 100 of these things, you got to understand that this is an issue, and this is something really at the top of people's minds. And what's happening more and more, and what I'm seeing more and more, is people don't want it. They don't want any part of it. They're in a position where, well, if this is going to be marketed this way, I don't need it. And I understand this buzz, but we have to do something about it. And so that's what I want to chat about in this video. The problem is simple. My to-do list, if you were to look at my to-do list right now, if I were to open it up on the screen, you'd see a lot of urgent issues. Life is dictated by urgent issues. But the fact of the matter is there's some urgent issues that need to be dealt with today. There's some urgent issues that need to be dealt with next week. There's some urgent issues that need to be dealt with next month, etc., etc., etc. So if you look at my list, the ones that I'm working on today are the urgent ones that need to be dealt with today. The squeaky wheel gets the grease kind of thing. And I would dare suggest that your to-do list is the same way. Now, there's some type A'ers who will be listening to this and watching this who are planning months and months ahead. And for those of you who have that kind of talent, who have that kind of fortitude, God bless you, and create an information product that teaches me how to be that way. But I think even if you are, and, be honest with yourself, are you really? But even if you are, the fact of the matter is the majority of the world isn't. So if you want to sell your product, unless you want to sell it only to type A people who plan months and months in advance, you got to realize just the reality of a to-do list. See, if they can buy tomorrow, chances are good they're going to buy tomorrow. But the great thing is, if when tomorrow comes, they can buy tomorrow, they're not going to buy tomorrow. They're going to buy the day after, and the day after, and the day after. So the problem is that if you have a product up in perpetuity that's always available, people are going to buy it later. There is no urgency. There is no reason to buy it. And that's just the facts. That's just human nature. That's just something that you have to deal with. And so what happens is scarcity buys attention. Once I tell you, hey, this has to happen by this date, then people write it down. And not only do they write it down, but they associate it with a date. Not only do they associate it with a date, but now in their mind comes the need for some sort of action. People tell me, I've seen bloggers, I've seen quote-unquote internet marketers say this doesn't work. Ladies and gentlemen, this works. Okay? This absolutely works. If you put a limit on something, people will buy. Okay, so as much as that buzz of them not liking it and feeling controlled and whatnot, this as a methodology works. So what do we do about it? What is our solution? Here's what I recommend. Here's what I do. Here's the approach that I think we can take. Leverage the requirement. Make it an opportunity. If you're going to do big ticket information marketing, products and sales, you have to put in some sort of scarcity. You have to have cutoff dates. You have to have limits. You have to have these things, because if they don't, your audience won't act and you won't be able to buy the product that you are selling. So you have to leverage it. But what you do is you create an opportunity with it. Let me give you an example. Well, let me give you a couple with what I'm doing right now. Two main products I have. I have the New Media Inner Circle. The New Media Inner Circle is my private membership website where everything I do is taught in the private membership website. So any speech I give, any lecture I give, and then we do office hours and we do additional stuff for that group. And actually, as I build products, it goes out to the New Media Inner Circle as well. It's a fun group. I have to sometimes close the New Media Inner Circle. I'm closing the New Media Inner Circle actually pretty soon because of podcast secrets, which I'll talk about in a second. But as a result, I'm going to be closing the New Media Inner Circle off to anybody. After a couple of days from now, actually, people are not going to be able to get into the New Media Inner Circle until the second part of this year. So as a result, I could be all buy, limit. But the fact of the matter is, come Monday, I'm going to have a new batch of New Media Inner Circle people. I'm going to have a new batch of people who have all started right around the same time, who are all at the same place. And by having this opportunity, by having everybody in at the same time, not dripping in, I can go on this journey with them. We can have calls, we can do things, we can spend time together in such a way to really bring people into the fold of the inner circle and to really bring people in the fold of what's happening. Podcast Secrets. Podcast Secrets is my big course that I do with Alex Mendozian about, you can probably guess from the word podcasting. And the great thing there is, that is a program closed up as well. But the great thing is, the thing I really like is that we close up the class and then we start it. And everybody taking the class takes session 1 on the same day. And by taking session 1 on the same day, we have this shared experience, we have this group experience, we have a call-in day a couple of days later where people can get their questions answered, and it all comes together. And so what we do is we take the reality of having to put a wrapper around this, having to put confines around it, and then we give everybody a shared experience. Now, the fact of the matter is, for Podcast Secrets, what we do, once you're in for life. And so at that point, we have people who don't attend the class who come in later, and people can basically buy at certain times of the year and not buy at certain times of the year. But what happens is I leverage this requirement, and then by knowing that everybody's coming in at a certain time, and by knowing that everybody's got this shared experience, you produce content and information to that shared experience. I hope that makes sense. It's incredibly powerful. And so you take the reality, you take the requirement, you make it an opportunity, and then you wrap that reality into what you're doing, and then you're at an entirely different place. Got to finish this up. Okay, thoughts. What you have to do is you have to create buzz louder than them. For those who are saying, there's just this artificial requirement, for those who are saying, hey, I don't like to be controlled, deal with that issue head on and just say, look, by bringing everybody in at the same time, we can all start at the same place and we can go live. And, I can't answer questions from newbies every single day of the year, but I can certainly grab all the newbies who are newbies at the same time and get on the phone and answer questions for a couple of hours. So what you do is you create buzz louder than them. You realize, you understand that the reality dictates this opportunity. You got to put scarcity around your product. So grab the fact that everybody comes in at the same time and do great things with that. This will give you a focus that is often ignored. People, they tend to think product to product to product, but if you put everything at one time and you got a bunch of new people on Monday, you can give them some attention, you can give them some focus, you can give them some thoughts that you couldn't give them any other way. Finally, last but not least, really at the end of this is the golden rule. You could use this reality for evil, people do. But the fact of the matter is, if you produce a product that is good, if you produce a product that people want, if you produce a product that people need, then wrapping this frame set, this time limit around it, and then treating them like you'd like to be treated yourself and giving them what it is that you'd like to see, you do that, you're going to have people absolutely thrilled with these time constraints. And then at that point, the buzz will be louder than them. Hope that makes sense. My name is Paul Colligan. My blog is at paulcolligan.com. You can take the realities of information marketing, wrap scarcity around them, buy the attention that brings you, and then just serve your audience in some really, really amazing ways. That's the truth about information marketing, and I know you can handle it. Have a great one.